What is your American dream?
My American dream is humility with humanity. What I mean by that is when you walk into a room, realize that the first thing that you have the same is that you will be different. And until you get to know that person and learn about them, make your own decisions.
My American dream will be to, it's time for the new generation to come and pass the torch.
My American dream would be that the U.S. learns community and culture from Mexico and from all of its immigrants, because that is what makes America beautiful.
It's about putting good stories out there. There's so many things that we should be aware of. For me, it would be amazing as an American dream if I could open doors to more women to produce their content.
We are the United States. We're not the divided states. So that's my dream, that everybody can see that. So today, that's why I decided to do this exhibition on a Sunday, which Sundays are family days in Latin America. It's called a Domingo Familiar, so that we can all get together as families, not only to celebrate who we are, but also to help others stay together that cannot be together.
Everyone has a right to the American dream. Welcome, everybody. It is Thursday, November 5th. I am live. It's Brad Show Live. My name is Brad, and out there in the world, we are always joined by Yonathan, Yo-Yo Elias, and the newest unicorn on the face of the earth, Vanessa, Ness-Quick, Contreras. How are you? One in a million, one and only. How are you both doing today? By the way, before I ask how you're both doing, I just want to give you a quick update from when we left off yesterday. If you recall, yesterday we were waiting on Georgia, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Nevada. The Associated Press called Arizona while we were on air for Biden, but it is not official. Nothing has changed since we got off the air. They're still counting votes. They're still counting ballots. Nothing has changed. We're all at the edge of our seat.
I think Friday is going to be the day. Next Friday is going to have to be it. Friday show. That's when we'll say hooray.
I believe so, because the Secretary of State for the state of Pennsylvania announced about an hour or two ago that they believe that sometime tomorrow or overnight tonight, they will have counted all of the votes in Pennsylvania. Right now, with 400, approximately a little under 400,000, I think it was, when I last read, it was 396,000 votes left to count, to process, that were either mail-in or drop-off in Pennsylvania. They believe they will have them all counted by sometime overnight or tomorrow, at least according to the Secretary of State. And the belief is, by everybody who knows anything about anything, and even the belief of people who know nothing about nothing, that of those 400 or 396,000 ballots still left to be counted in Pennsylvania, they're all from the Philadelphia area. And Biden losing by 100,000 votes, but the belief is that probably over 75% to 80% of those ballots that are left to be counted in Pennsylvania, if history is a guide, and we always know history repeats itself, if history is a guide, They believe 75 to 80% or perhaps more of those ballots that are coming from the Philadelphia area will be Democratic Biden votes. And if there's 400 or a little under 400,000 left, Yo-Yo, can you get your calculator out, please? You have your calculator out, Yo-Yo? Yes? Okay. Now, 396,000 times 0.75. What does that equal? I don't hear you, Yo-Yo. I don't hear you, Yo-Yo.
So
damn.
Strange.
Every day. Damn.
What was that?
It's approximately. It is approximate. It's approximately about 320,000 votes for Biden. If you think it's about 300 to 320,000 votes, let's call it 300,000 votes for Biden, and then 100,000 for Trump. That's 75%. If Trump's leading by 100 and there's a difference now in votes for Biden of 200,000, that means Biden wins by 100,000 votes in Pennsylvania sometime tomorrow. That's what they believe was going to happen. If Biden wins Pennsylvania, it's over. It's over. Put a steak in it. Put a fork in it. You don't put a steak in it. You put a fork in it. Put a fork in the steak. It's over. Unlike Bradshaw Live, that is never over. Bradshaw Live is continuous forever. So let's say hello to the squad. By the way, how was your day? I asked. I asked, and then I just kept talking. Tell me about your day before I say hello to the squad.
It was really nice out today. I hope the weather stays this way. And I realized I didn't have any blue shirts, so I thought I would just wear a green one so we'd bring us some luck.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Barely.
Yeah.
Barely.
You're far.
Barely. You're like underwater right now. You're like underwater. You go talk go talk to Julia the TriCaster guy and work it out while I say hello to the squad. All right, hello squad. Deion Watson, squad up. How are you? Jessica Kalimi, Joel Reed, squad up. Nina God Pickney, squad up. Family Lisa Bling Rose, squad up. Deion Reed, squad up. Everybody gets a squad up. I wish I could give everybody a squad up. I can't because I would be reading forever. Lisa Bling Rose, squad up. How are you? Willie L. Williams, what's going on? Joan Ambitious Powell, squad up. Carol Anderson the Tiger, how are you? Lynn Schumacher Sweezy is watching, squad up. Patricia Bird, squad up, how are you? Willie L. Williams, I think I said him twice already. Myrtle Ray, record break. I don't know what record break means, but we'll find out soon. Dawn Harriet, squad up. And Christy Consali, how are you? Who else we got here? Doris Dennis, Trump can't take losing. He can't. It's going to kill him. And Daniel Faircloth, Darsh Singh, squad up. How are you? Let's go over to YouTube. Vanessa Contreras, squad up. Yo-Yo, squad up. Elizabeth Jusso, squad up. Danny Boy 954 wants to know what's up, Brad, Yo-Yo, and everyone. How you all doing today? That was my question earlier. How you all doing? And Elisa Enoch, squad up. Meme, sorry. Squad up Uncle Brad and team. Even though they have a good guy, but still Uncle Brad is the answer. Well, thank you very much. I think I understand that comment. Vanessa. Yo-Yo.
Here I am.
How are we doing there on your volume now?
We're trying to figure it out right now.
Trying to figure it out. All right. Vanessa, while Yo-Yo figures it out, tell everybody what they need to do while I get ready for some schmoozing.
Okay, Brad Squad. So you already know, Yo-Yo lets you know at the beginning of every show that you should be a part of the Brad VIP page on Facebook. This is so important. When you're a part of the Brad Show VIP page, you get VIP perks. And one of those is that you can put in your question at any time of the day. I would recommend the earliest you can get them in, and it is secured that those would be one of the first questions that we ask Brad during social media check-in. But this is a perk that you can only get once you're a part of the Brad VIP page. So that goes for everyone on all social media platforms. And if you're watching on Facebook, make sure that you join. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you tune in, because you don't want to miss out on those perks to secure that you'll get the answers to your immigration question. Now, on Facebook, we need everyone right now to give us those thumbs up and leave your questions in the comments. The squad is looking out for that. So give us that thumbs up. It lets everyone know that we're doing great work here, and give us some emojis, interact with us. Yo-Yo and I are both in the comments in there, and we want to hear from you guys. Ask your immigration questions, and you're also going to share. So you can share this right now. You can go ahead and even start a watch party. We'll invite you to do that later on as well, but share this so that more people can learn about the Brad Show. It's still so amazing how many people do not know about it, and you could be the person that brings them in and lets them know that this is where they want to be. Brad Show Live, Monday through Friday, to get answers to their immigration questions. And you already know we're giving you the ins and out of this election and always being so informative. So make sure that you share. Now, how I love to share with you guys, and you know what my favorite place to be is during Brad Show Live, is on YouTube. On YouTube, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, you should do that right now. Turn on the notification bell so you know when Brad Show is live every single day, especially when we do our pop-up. You don't want to miss a pop-up episode, and that notification bell right below will let you know when the show is on. I also have a share arrow waiting for you to click it. When you click that share arrow, it would allow you to copy the link so you can share it in a text message, share it in a direct message. Let someone know that Brad Show is live right now. You never know when there's someone out there that has the same question as anyone else here watching, and they get the answer to their immigration question, or even get to call in. Make sure that you guys call in to get the answers to your immigration questions. And of course, give us that thumbs up on YouTube. We need it from you guys. That lets YouTube know that we're doing great things and we can grow the squad more and more. Of course, we are on Instagram, so make sure you follow us there. If you can't catch a full show on either Facebook or YouTube, don't know how that would happen, catch the best snippets of our show on Instagram at Brad Show Live. Follow us there, comment. Every now and again, we're doing some giveaways, but you'll only know if you follow us on Instagram. You can also send your questions through direct message on Instagram as well, and the squad will get to you. But without further ado, let's get into our show.
All right, so as I said at the top of the hour, we still don't know who the president's going to be. Let's go state by state. In Georgia, they have approximately 90,000 votes left to count. Most of them are going to come from the Decatur, Atlanta area. I don't know if that's going to be enough to push Biden over the top. It's very possible. In North Carolina, they still have 5% of the precincts. We don't know. They haven't really announced from North Carolina. At least I haven't seen where those votes are still coming from. Trump leads a little by more than 1%. In Arizona, the Associated Press called Arizona for Biden yesterday. Still doesn't make Biden president yet, makes him a little closer, but it is not yet official. They still have a lot of votes to count from around the Phoenix area. Trump, surprisingly, is doing very well in the Phoenix-Maricopa area, but Biden is still getting approximately 60% of that vote. If he's still going to get 60% of the vote, he will ultimately win Arizona. This afternoon, Nevada, Biden increased his lead in Nevada. That's 6 votes. If Biden wins Arizona and Nevada, then Biden is going to be the president. And finally, Pennsylvania says sometime tonight or tomorrow morning, Pennsylvania will be announcing final results. Those final results are expected if the mail-in ballots continue historically from Philadelphia to favor Biden at 75 to 80%. At some point, sometime tonight or tomorrow, Biden is expected to overtake Donald Trump. Trump has approximately 100,000 person lead on Biden right now, with 400,000 votes left to count, all of them from the Philadelphia and suburban Philadelphia area, where historically the vote comes in 75, 80% Democrat. With that being said, Arizona, Nevada stays positive for Biden. He's the president. If Pennsylvania flips to Biden, which is expected, he's the president. If Biden comes from behind and squeaks out Georgia, he will be really close to being the president. We don't expect him to win North Carolina. It's going to be a few more days. That's what it is. I hear some moans and groans in the background from Vanessa and Yo-Yo. You have some thoughts and comments?
Yeah, it's just, how do I sound now?
Better, but not great, but better. Good
Okay,
enough.
well,
Good enough.
Good enough. That's what we're gonna
Okay.
take. It's literally it's so stressful, to be in this type of like just to be in this moment. And I did read somewhere, I don't know if it's true, but I read somewhere in Nevada said they're not even gonna get their total polls
Till
until like November 12th.
November 12th, and Arizona's November 10th. And the reason behind that is because the Postal Service is so slow that they are going to wait for all of the ballots to come in. They're waiting to make a final decision on whether to count a ballot or not until November 10th. Anything that's postmarked on November 3rd, they're giving 1 full week in Arizona, and I believe a week and 2 days in Nevada. They're giving 9 full days in Nevada for the mail to be delivered. So if it's postmarked on November 3rd and received by Arizona within 1 week of the postmark, and Nevada within 9 days of the postmark, those votes are going to be counted. Now, apparently, the United States Postal Service, they said they're taking extraordinary measures to deliver the ballots. Doesn't sound too extraordinary to me. 7-9 days. Come on. We're not in a third world country. It's the United States of America.
Yeah, but you guys remember that one time that they didn't get the financial support that they needed? I don't know, maybe a couple months prior. Y'all might remember when that happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Meanwhile, Trump is now threatening legal action. As we said,
wow.
It seems so far that everything is being counted smoothly, that there's not a lot of they brought a legal action in Pennsylvania today, and the big lawsuit was they don't know what to bring a lawsuit about. The big lawsuit in Pennsylvania today was they want Trump's people to stand closer to the guy who's counting the votes. And the judge said, okay, you can move a little closer. That was the big win in Pennsylvania for Trump today. His people can move a little closer to the vote counter.
Wow.
So they don't even know what to make a lawsuit about.
That's wild.
Isn't that wild? I mean,
wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's just like speechless. Literally, there's absolutely nothing that this man won't do to like get this win.
Yeah. Well, he's going to do everything possible. Cheat, steal. That's what his entire
He doesn't even have a case. He'll pull up to court with no case.
His entire life was cheating and stealing. Now, once the votes are certified, and the presumption is that Biden is going to win, you're going to see him start to take action like the winning candidate to start to transition into being the president. And what you're going to see is Donald Trump saying he's not going to accept the results, and he's going to request recounts of all of the ballots. He's going to contest ballots, certainly in Pennsylvania. He already said it. He's going to contest the ballots that are being counted after November 3rd, but these are ballots that were dropped off prior to November 3rd. I can't see judges disenfranchising people who didn't want to stand online for fear of getting COVID. So ultimately, it's going to come down to a recount. And unless Biden wins a state by 30, 40, 50 votes, I mean, if he wins by tens of thousands of votes, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 votes, which is still a very close race. You know what I said about Albert Einstein yesterday, right? You're not going to find 50,000 votes to flip and say, no, we made a mistake 50,000 times. Maybe they made a mistake 50 times or 75 times or 100 times, but they didn't make 50,000 mistakes. Or, so I'm not worried about a recount, really.
Yeah.
Good.
Meanwhile, there are some congressional races left to call, but it looks like the Republicans are going to retain the Senate. The House is going to be Democratic. And there are some inspirational congressional victories. Deborah Hickson won a school board seat in Broward County, Florida, 3 years after her husband was killed in the Parkland school shooting. Maureen Turner has become the first non-binary state legislature and first Muslim Oklahoma lawmaker. Cori Bush, a Black Lives Matter activist who got into politics following 2014's upheaval in Ferguson, Missouri, is now the first black woman to represent the state in Congress. Richie Torres, a New York City council member, won his U.S. House race to represent the South Bronx, becoming the first black member of Congress who identifies as a homosexual. And Sarah McBride of Delaware will become the nation's first person who identifies as transgender to serve in the state Senate.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, let's see what else is happening. Nah.
It's just so different. The conversations that'll happen in my kids' history book compared to ours. Like all this entire decade, this election, this whole year, like this is going to be in a history book someday, and there's going to be kids trying to understand what all of this is happening.
You know, there's like certain years that are transformational, and you don't I think this year has been so transformational that everyone realizes it because of the level of anxiety that everybody's been walking around with. It's, transformative because of coronavirus and because of the political environment, because of the president of the United States, because of the racial tensions that are going on in the United States, because of the calls to end the racial issues in the United States by a large majority of people, multicultural people, white, black, brown, Asian. I think 2020 is a really transformative year. And as we look back at it, in 5, 10, 20 years from now, hopefully things are calmed down. We will say, wow, what a year. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you think about what years are as transformative, maybe 1968, which was the year I was born. It was the year MLK got assassinated. We were deep into the Vietnam War. Maybe 1941, 1942, the United States gets into World War II. Trying to think what was transformative in the last 70 years.
Even I would say 9/11 and the war, the attacks on Iraq, and that as well.
Right.
Because those are transformative times in my era.
That is true. And I'll tell you one more year that enters my mind, and you're happy to be right. 2001 was definitely a transformative year because it changed America. 9/11. It made America,
the way we traveled,
the way we police ourselves, the way we provide security to the citizens, the way that Americans allowed our civil rights to be chipped away because they wanted security. 2001 was transformative. 1979, the Iranian hostage caused Jimmy Carter to lose the election, brought in Reaganomics. And what that did, and what Reaganomics did, was that started the era of large tax cuts for the ultra wealthy, with the idea of trickle-down economics, that if the wealthy were to have large tax cuts, huge corporations were to have large tax cuts, there would be additional spending by wealthy people that will trickle down to the upper middle class, that will trickle down to the middle class, that will trickle down to the working class, that will trickle down to the people who are in below the poverty level and raise them up. We don't know if that's really happens. Certainly, economic activity happens when that happens, but does it benefit everybody? That's the $1 million question that's debated, why some people vote Republican and some people vote Democrat, because, you can argue it all you want. Yes, economic activity is better, but is everybody benefiting? So, but the 1979 Iran hostage situation, that caused Reaganomics. So I guess that was transformative too. But of all of the years, I can't think of a year that is more transformative than 2020.
And 2020.
2020, too many things. It was all at once. There was a good comment about history being made by Lisa Bling Rose, but I lost it. Hopefully we catch it. It was good.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I could tell you on December 31st, you wear those glasses, 2020. I'm going to be like, thank God this is 2021. I'm like, oh, thank God this year is
Take
over.
me there already.
Right?
There yet.
Don't you want that? Like, where's that 2021 glasses? I want to wear them already. Right.
Please.
I can almost see
Can
it.
you imagine how excited we were for 2020 to come, though? We were like, oh, this is
Oh,
like a
but-
dope year, 2020.
We were
Had
idiots.
no idea.
Yo, we were a bunch of idiots. All right,
Absolutely.
we were a bunch of idiots. So excited about 2020. I remember the
We
good
didn't
old.
know any better.
I
Uncle
remember.
Brad.
I remember the good old days of 2019 when we just had to be mad about a pumpkin. Right now, we got to be mad about
Right.
about 100 different things.
Exactly.
All right, you know what time it is. It's Thursday. It's Wacky World
Wacky
News.
Thursday.
Wacky Thursday.
Let's go.
All right, so this is weird. A strange incident took place in China recently. One woman went on a blind date with 23 of her family members to test her potential boyfriend and see how generous he is. The man was faced with such a tough situation when the woman did not only bring in her 23 family members, but also asked him to pay all their dining expenses. Can you imagine? Show up to a blind date and you're taking out the entire extended family?
No.
And I'm a generous person. And I never met this.
Right.
I never met this woman. I'm already getting angry, and I'm like, don't take advantage. I'm not feeding your whole family on a first date.
23 people.
23 people. The
on.
bill ran up to 20,000 yen, which is a little under $200, which is not bad for feeding 23 people.
what?
I mean, I don't know where the hell they went. All right, for to feed
Damn.
23. That you fed an entire family for under $10 a person.
What app
Wow.
did these people meet at? It was a trap.
All I can tell you is at first I'm like, wow, take me to that restaurant. I'd like to do that too. But then I'm like, whoa. Maybe I don't want to eat there because maybe Uncle Brad won't be doing a show for a week. I'd be sick after eating at that restaurant,
Yeah.
maybe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat there.
Is that also an issue that it was the first date at that restaurant? But who's judging, right?
Meanwhile, I'll tell you what happened to the unsuspecting date. His name was Zhao Lu. He walked out of the restaurant when he learned that he had to pay the bill for all 23 people. According to the local Chinese newspaper, the couple then came to an agreement after which the woman and her family paid a huge sum of money. The story's gone viral because the restaurant didn't know where to go get their money for the bill. Nobody was paying the bill.
Awkward.
Yeah, I wouldn't have paid. I don't even care that, like, it's not even just the amount, because the amount isn't that much. Honestly, $200, that could be a good date for two people, honestly. At, what is it, Fogo de Chao, two of us was $300. But it is the principle. You are not bringing your whole family on the first date. Not only it being the first date, but also the blind date. You got me messed up.
You are totally. And by the way,
If you want to see a show,
and by the
You wanna
way,
see a
can
show
you imagine?
that-
Can you imagine what happens on the 10th date if they brought 23 family members on the first one? What the heck's gonna happen on the?
Right.
What are you paying for on the 10th date, right?
Once we
Right,
get
friends,
comfortable,
family.
right?
Nah, hell no. You got me twisted. I want to see what this girl look like.
I don't know.
Well, that's what I want to see.
Well, she might probably better be really attractive, right?
Better be.
Meanwhile,
Brave is for sure.
Meanwhile, a Dutch train ran off the elevated tracks, but was caught by a statue. A Dutch train burst past the end of its elevated tracks Monday in the Netherlands. But instead of crashing to the ground 30 feet below, the metro train was caught and held aloft by an artist's massive sculpture of a whale. Can you imagine? Oh my God. There was some damage, but no injuries. It could have left a lot of people dead. The sculpture at the end of the tracks was giving a name, Saved by the Whale's Tail. That was the name of the sculpture. It was built in 2000. It was built in 2002, installed by D. Ackers. It was installed at the D. Ackers station in the city just outside of Rotterdam. And the partial derailment is now under investigation. Oh my God, I would be freaking out. But I think the comedy is that the name of the statue was Saved by the Whale's Tail.
Insane.
Insane, right? You can't make that stuff up. It's true story.
Literally.
Right.
It's wacky Thursday. You can't make this stuff up, right?
Could you imagine being on that train though?
No.
I couldn't even
No.
imagine.
No.
Wait, do they have
Right,
a
he's
lawsuit?
saying the story.
Do they have what?
Do they have a lawsuit?
I don't know anything about the laws
know,
of the
but I'm
Netherlands.
asking.
If this was in the United States, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Everybody. Okay.
Everybody on that train who's injured has a lawsuit. Trains are not supposed to derail. If a train derails, that's negligence somewhere. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's not an act of God when a train derails.
That is
Call
scary.
Spar and Bernstein.
Call Spar and Bernstein, 1-800-529.
Listen, anybody watching?
Meanwhile, an artificial intelligence camera deployed by a Scottish soccer team recently got a little confused when it kept confusing the bald head of a referee with the soccer ball being used in the same game. The automatic camera system with the inbuilt AI ball tracking technology was really a bald tracking technology. During a recent live stream of matches, the AI camera operator repeatedly, and to great effect, confused the lineman's bald head with the soccer ball. During watching TV, they have an artificial intelligence camera, and the camera is supposed to follow the ball, but it's following the bald referee's head instead.
Hilarious.
Is that hilarious?
Wow.
The overall effect was the AI had a crush on the linesman and can't help but zoom in on his beautiful gleaming head. That was the TV. You can
Don't
watch.
shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
He's programmed to do a job.
Meanwhile, Japan's latest solution to the work-from-home blues during the pandemic may be the most fun option yet. Last month, the country opened its national parks to office workers, installing Wi-Fi hotspots and power strips in the middle of nature. That's nice. But in case you're in the market for a more whimsical workplace, a theme park in Japan is now offering remote workers the chance to rent a Ferris wheel gondola and spend your working day going around the Ferris wheel. Yes.
Wow.
Amusement park Yomaruland announced an amusement workation package to bring in professionals working remotely. You could spend the day going around the wheel. There's Wi-Fi, bring your laptop, and go to work.
Wouldn't that be kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I'd be over it, like after 10 minutes of being on a Ferris wheel.
Yeah, I would want to get off. When do you get to go to the bathroom during your workday?
Right.
Yeah.
So then it's like, you have like, I don't know how many people can fit on there, but like, then you're going off of everybody else's like bathroom schedule, food schedule, anything like that, or like just want to get off.
It looks cooler than what it is.
Meanwhile, if I was somebody's boss and they decided to go on a Ferris wheel workation, I'd be like, Smith? Where's Smith? Where's that fool? That fool is on the Ferris wheel? You're fired.
You wouldn't allow it?
I would no. No. Can you imagine one of our attorneys or paralegals doing law from a Ferris wheel? We don't have a Smith, by the way. I made up. There's no Smith here. Yeah.
Yeah, but you never know. That could also bring traction, if everybody's like, oh, yeah, the attorneys are doing their work on the Ferris wheel. That everybody finds out about your law firm. And,
good marketing. Good marketing.
Yeah. That could be your PR.
Yeah. Meanwhile, a British family discovered that a mirror hanging above their toilet once belonged to Marie Antoinette. You know who Marie Antoinette is?
I know that
She was the Queen of France. She said to the king about the peasants, let them eat cake. Or not eat cake. The discovery could now leave them as much as $13,000 richer. They found Marie Antoinette's. She got beheaded during the French Revolution. And they found her mirror. It's now worth $13,000. They thought it was a crappy old mirror, and the owner who found it said they seemed to find it more interesting than valuable, but when they took it to be valued, Stowe said, this is the guy who found it, Stowe said the family soon found a wonderful paper trail, including a catalog from an 1880 auction for the estate of the late Napoleon. The wife of King Louis XVI, Antoinette, is thought to have kept the mirror in a larger collection at a palace before she was executed in France in 1793.
Wow.
What do you have in your apartment? Can I come around and rummage around your apartment, Vanessa?
So that's what I was just thinking. I was just thinking that like the only thing that I've ever gotten from like a thrift store is this one mirror that's in my room.
It looks kind of antique, but I don't know if it's if it was, you know.
You're
if
gonna
it
have
used
to
be
take
belonged
another
to.
look in the mirror.
I once went up to the very cute Vanessa. I once went up to the Berkshire Mountains, and I went into this store, and they had like this picture of like this Chinese ancestor. It looked like 300-400 years old, and the guy's like, yeah, it's like 300-400 years old, very inexpensive. I'm like, oh, I'll take it. And I thought I'm like, I literally got like the bargain of the century, and I held it, because I was in my 20s when I got it, and I held it in my basement for like 25 years. And when I went to get divorced, I had to move my stuff out of the house. And I'm like, I'm taking this ancestor with me, and I went, and I'm like, and I'm thinking this thing is worth a ton of money, so I bring it to the auction house.
So you went and got it appraised?
I went to the auction house to get it appraised. And you know what I was told? This ancestor ain't no ancestor. This was drawn about 15 years ago. I got lied to. So sometimes, and then I tried to look back, and find this place where I bought it. They're out of business. So sometimes when you think you find a treasure, you find
just trash.
Trash, exactly.
Brad, what were you gonna say to the people?
25 years ago, I bought this ancestor from you, and you told me it was 300 years old, and it was in fact 5 years old when I bought it, because it's now 30 years old. Yeah. What's it gonna do 25 years after?
Right.
But so you never know. Sometimes, as Vanessa says, sometimes it's a treasure, and sometimes it's just trash.
Trash.
All right, we have one more Wacky World. I have 3 cards in my hand. Is it card number 1? Card number 2? Card number 3? Which one?
Ness-Quick. You already know this is your job.
3.
I'll give it to you.
Card number 3. All right. P&O Cruises has shared a sneak peek of its new cruise ship, the Iona, the largest cruise ship ever built in the United Kingdom, at 185,000 tons and 345 meters in length with 17 decks. It is expected to host up to 5,200 passengers on board. However, with coronavirus, it's a beautiful ship. It's wonderful. 5,200 people on board a cruise ship in the year 2020 or 2021. You're talking 5,200 Brits boarding that cruise ship, and you're talking probably 4,500 Brits coming off with coronavirus. Is that something you would want to do right now?
No.
No.
And also, after Titanic, I don't do stuff like that. Titanic has screwed any chance of me
You've
going
never been on
cruises
you never
like
went
that.
on a cruise ship ever?
Nope. I watched
Titanic.
Titanic came out when I was like in the 8th grade, and from that movie I was scarred for life.
Really?
Like, I'm terrified of like cruise ships because of that movie.
That movie scared you?
Yeah, I was young when I watched it.
You don't want to like sit at the top and go, I'm the king of the world. You don't want to do it? No.
I'm good.
I went on one. How many cruises have you done, Vanessa?
Just one.
Did you like it?
Just one. Yeah, I liked it. It was just too long.
Yeah.
It was like one of those 7-day cruises, and I was like 21 or something.
Right.
So it was like a lot of families, and I was like, where are all the cool kids at?
I did a cruise
Brad,
once. I did a cruise once in my life.
Just once?
Just once. Only once. And I'll tell you what I liked and what I didn't like. I loved that there was always food, because Uncle Brad likes to eat. So wherever you looked, there was food. There was food left. You looked left. There's food to the right. What I didn't like was being stuck on a boat, and the pools on the boat look really beautiful in the brochures. But when you step into the pool, in real life, it's the size of a bathtub, and you go, and the water is up to your knees, and there's 100 kids jumping up and down on you, and you're and then you're like, Now, Uncle Brad, don't do this.
That's why
family cruises,
yeah. Uncle Brad, don't do this pool.
That's why you need to go to the adult ones, like the ones
I was with my kids.
Get drunk
I was with my
dance.
kids.
That's what the entertainers on the ship. Exactly. Uncle Brad, he was being uncle, went on the ship with his kids.
It was a lot of fun. I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again.
Where's the 3-day weekend cruise?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I asked the Brad Squad if they would go on this cruise, and most of them said no.
No. Yeah, I think the cruise industry is in for a licking until coronavirus gets its own licking and gets out of here, right? Because I don't think anyone wants to go on a cruise right now.
No, not with 5,200 people.
Yeah, well, later in the show, we're going to be talking with Spar and Bernstein partners and personal injury attorneys Moshe, Borukh, and David Levy. They're going to discuss a multi-million-dollar settlement they just recently secured, over $3 million involved in a pedestrian motor vehicle accident. But right now, in today's Braducation, what do we have, a Braducation? No Braducation, Joe. What do we do? In today's Braducation, maybe we don't. I answered the question, what is a provisional waiver? A provisional waiver is a waiver to waive the 10-year bar if you leave the United States to obtain an immigrant visa in another country. In 1996, Congress changed the law that said that if you are applying for a green card in another country and you lived in the United States illegally for more than 1 year, you have a 10-year bar to re-enter. It prevented most people who overstayed on their visas, who were entered without inspection, from returning home to pick up their green cards because nobody wanted to stay home for 10 years before they were able to come back with their green card. The provisional waiver gives a waiver to that law prior to you leaving the United States. So as long as you get that provisional waiver, you can go back to your home country and, if otherwise eligible, obtain your green card and then return to the United States within a matter of weeks. All right, so we're going to get into our immigration questions and answers, but first I got to remind everybody you can call right now, 1-800-529-5465. Our lines are open. We have a whole bunch of open lines. Crazy week this week. With elections, people aren't interested in calling right away, but there is a telephone number to call right now. If you call right now, we will get your questions on. Yo-Yo and Vanessa, why don't you tell everybody about calling our show?
Yes. All right, everybody, come on. You already know this is the time to call. This is one of the only places you're going to be able to get free advice and actual advice that is going to help you. You guys see it right here. It's on there all day. Call 1-800-529-5465. We need you guys to call right now because this is the only time this segment is going to be going on. We're going to be doing social media check-in after, and if we leave this segment, then you can't call until tomorrow. So I need y'all to call. Ness-Quick, you want to let them know too?
I think Ness-Quick. They listen to Ness-Quick.
Yeah,
they always listen to Ness-Quick, right?
Yeah, boss lady.
Yeah, boss lady. I'm still, now that I'm able to get their attention, I'm waiting for some more thumbs up on YouTube. But more importantly, you guys know all of the knowledge and the value that Brad is providing to you guys for free. So we do need you guys to go ahead and share and let people know that not only can they put their questions in the comments and you as well, but you can actually call in and get some legal advice from the best immigration lawyer. You guys say it all the time. So call right now, 1-800-529-5465 and get answers to your immigration questions.
All right. So, Julian? Monica in Boston, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
So I'm a U.S. citizen. I have to apply for my husband adjustment of status, and I will be taking pandemic unemployment assistance. I also plan to open an LLC to start an online business. So my question is that if I open the LLC, will I still be eligible for pandemic unemployment assistance?
Well, you're asking, those are two different questions. All right. First of all, the pandemic unemployment you can absolutely collect. It's not going to affect your immigration. If you're collecting an income from a business and you're employed, and that's really more of an employment question than it is an immigration question, then you're not supposed to be collecting unemployment anymore. That would be a fraud.
All right. And if I start earning $1,000 to $1,500 per month through that business, can I go ahead and apply for my husband adjustment of status?
Yes.
All right. And do I still need a co-sponsor?
You may, because even though you're making $1,500 a month, I don't know what expenses you have to make that $1,500 a month. So it depends on what your net income is, not what your gross income is.
That's the profit. $1,500 will be the profit.
If you're making $1,500 a month profit, then you're not making enough money, because that's about $17,000 a year. You're below the poverty level. All right, so you'll need a second affidavit of support.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Let's go to SHANEIL in Brooklyn.
Yes, good evening, Brad.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm good. Question. I'm a legal permanent resident for a little over a month now. So I'll be eligible to naturalize in 2023 because I'm married to a U.S. citizen. But my mom, she overstayed her visiting visa by over 10 years.
Right.
She's undocumented. She came in on July 7 of 2010. So my question to you, she said that she's tired of being here undocumented. She's from Jamaica. So my question to you, if she does go back to Jamaica, is it possible for me to file for her and bring her back here?
No.
After I become a naturalized citizen?
No, because she has a 10-year bar from the time she leaves. There's no waiver for filing by a U.S. citizen, son or daughter, for a parent. So she would have a 10-year bar. So let's assume she leaves Christmas of this year in 2020. She would not be able to apply for a green card until Christmas 2030.
30.
Yeah.
So
by the way, let her stay here. I would tell you, for the most part, everybody's a little different and everybody has their own situation. For the most part, people, when they get tired of being here and they leave, they end up being sorry. They're home, they're happy for a little bit, and then they realize they should have stayed in America, and they're very sorry. I always get telephone calls all the time from people who get fed up living here, leave, and then are sorry 1, 2, 3 years later and want to come back and they can't.
Okay, so my best bet is to just have her stay.
Right.
And
Till
in
3 years, she'll get a green card. She can go back and forth. Tell her to stick
and
it out.
how soon after I become a citizen can I start the filing process?
The next day.
Okay.
And who knows what other laws will change when Biden becomes president? So, stick it out.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's go to Stacy in Pittsburgh. Stacy.
Hello, Brad.
Hi, Stacy.
I have a question.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good.
As soon as I get my green card, how soon can I file for my kids?
The next day.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. That was easy. Let's go to Pauline in Rochester, New York. Pauline.
Hello, good evening, Brad.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. I'm calling to ask a question.
Sure.
I filed for my son 2018.
Right.
And he actually get an interview date for the 14th of April this year, but they canceled his appointment. I would like to know, I know people that get canceled, receive at the appointment and go to the embassy, but they haven't given me back an appointment for him as yet.
Is your son under 21?
He's 21 May.
Okay. And was he sponsored by a U.S. citizen parent?
Yeah, my husband.
Okay. So if they canceled it, where is he, in Jamaica?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to contact the embassy and say, hey, where's this appointment? Because the squeaky wheel is the wheel that gets the oil in these situations. And if you're not sure
I contact them,
and I was about
and
to
they say to me,
yes, go ahead.
I contact them and they say to me that I must not contact them because that will help to cancel my case and stuff like that.
They just want to get rid of you. Call us. Hold on one second, all right? Let's go to MARIAMA in the Bronx. MARIAMA.
Hello, Brasha. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, thank you for answering my call.
Thank you.
I'm calling from the Bronx, and I have a question. I applied for asylum since 2016, and I'm not getting no update, no interview. I do request for them to put me on the short list, and I haven't heard from them either. It's been a year now since they put me on the short list. I want to know.
What do you do?
Will help me if I come in like do an info pass to get a review on my immigration case? Would that work? Would that help me out?
Me doing an info pass will not do anything. You doing an info pass will not do anything. You calling immigration will not do anything. You calling a senator will not do anything. The only thing that will help is a mandamus, which is a lawsuit against the federal government for violating your rights. They can't hold your political asylum case in abeyance for 5 years and do nothing with it. So you would bring a mandamus or a threat of a mandamus against the Department of Homeland Security for violating your rights. We'll get you an appointment very quickly. That's the way to do it. Now, the flip side of it is this. If you lose your asylum, you get put in deportation. So before we start demanding and threatening and lawsuits to get you an appointment, we want to make sure you have a really good asylum case that's going to get approved. Other than that, it wouldn't be worthwhile doing.
Yes, I do believe I have a strong asylum case.
So then what is the asylum case? Or if you don't want to, or you know what, you're better off actually not to discuss it on the air. Hold on one second. All right? Better smart. Smart. Don't talk about it personally. Hold on. Let's go to Ba in Reno, Nevada. Ba.
Hi, Brad. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. I have a couple of questions regarding my case. I applied for adjustment of status in Reno, and when I applied, I overstayed for less than 2 months, and during that time, I got a removal processing, and I went to, after a couple of years, I went to the court, and the admin closed the case. And then after that, hello?
I'm listening. You filed an adjustment, you're in removal, they administratively closed the case. You could have said that all in one sentence. What's your question?
Okay, and then after that, we got approved for the I-130, and I left with my wife and my kids to Algeria.
Okay.
And then we applied for IR1 visa. And
is this, by the way, is this you in the comments? Because you asked this yesterday as well, that you left.
Yes.
Right. Where are you now? Are you in Algeria or are you in Reno, Nevada?
I'm in Algeria.
You're in Algeria. The answer is, if you left the United States while you admin closed, you self-deported. So for you to return to the United States, you will need a 212 waiver. It sounds, you told me you only overstayed 2 months, so you don't need a 601 waiver because you were only in overstay for 2 months before you were put in removal. But you will need a 212 waiver to return after a prior order of deportation.
Okay, and during the interview, they asked me for the court document, and I just requested it from the court in Vegas. So basically, they are going to deny me because I had the interview at the embassy.
You need a 212 waiver. That is what you need. The quicker you file it, the quicker you will get here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Let's go to Mohammed in New York. Mohammed.
Hi, Brad. My question, good. My question is, April 2019, I had a stocks interview with my wife at Federal Plaza. And until now, they didn't respond to any of my service requests after the stocks interview. No I-30 approved, nothing, no notifications.
How long ago was this?
2019 April. It's 18 months now.
Wow.
And now they send me RFE. Sorry.
Oh, they sent you an RFE.
Yeah, for medicals, and they just need medicals and nothing else to decide. So is it a good chance, or they gonna another RFE?
They wouldn't ask you for a medical if they weren't going to approve it. They would have just sent the denial. So
this happened. I called Ombudsman 2 months back. They requested.
It's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Bravo. Good.
Thank you so much. So I can hand deliver it to the New York Federal Plaza.
If they ask you to hand deliver it, you follow the directions. If they ask you to hand deliver
it, they ask hand delivered.
Then that's what you do.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Let's go to Shelly in Brooklyn. Shelly.
Hello, Brad.
Hi,
How are you
Kelly.
doing?
How are you?
I'm good. I just got a quick question to ask you. If I overstayed my visa like a couple of years, do I need to file for a waiver after getting married?
Married to a citizen?
Yes, I do.
What kind of visa?
It was a work visa at the time.
No, you don't need to do anything. Just file an adjustment.
Just file the adjustment because
Correct.
there was people getting me confused saying that I have to file a waiver and all of that.
Just listen to me. If you're married to a U.S. citizen, you came here on a work visa, you overstayed, you file an adjustment, an I-45, an I-130, the I-864, the I-944, the I-765, the I-131. You file an adjustment. You don't need any waivers.
Okay.
So
And
don't
the other
listen to
thing.
anybody else.
Okay, Uncle Brad. And the other question is, do I have to basically wait to get my marriage certificate before I basically start filing?
Yeah, because you got to prove you're married. You can't file and say I'm married but don't have a marriage certificate.
Okay.
All right, so I'm sure it'll come in the mail shortly. All right?
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's go to Samin, I guess. Samin in Queens. Samin.
Brad, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Okay, question is this, that I filed my citizenship last month, and I just need to know, when you file the tax, I didn't clear the payment, I just make payment arrangement with them. So it is like less than 10,000. Do you think by the entry time and the entries come is going to be okay?
I think as long as you're on a payment plan with them and you filed your tax return, that's okay. What's not okay is to not file your taxes or to file your taxes and just blatantly not pay your taxes. But
No, I did file and I'm just making a payment arrangement.
Then that's fine.
State and the federal both.
Then that's
I'm making
fine.
a payment.
Then that's fine.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Bye.
Let's go to Kupesh in Philadelphia. Kupesh.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Hey, Brad.
Yeah.
I have a question. Actually, my parents are. I'm U.S. citizen, and my parents are on visitor visa over here, and it's been 3 months. They are with me, and I want to apply for their green card from here.
Right.
I don't want to send them back to home country.
Okay.
So can I do that?
If you're a U.S. citizen, you're over the age of 21, they came on visitors visas, it's more than 90 days, file their adjustment.
Perfect. And Brad, what are the forms I need to
Okay, for each
send?
of them, it's a separate for each of them. It's a separate filing for each. You want an I-485, an I-130, an I-864 affidavit of support, the I-944, that's the additional public charge forms. You need an I-765 for the work permit, and an I-131 if they want advance parole.
I-31.
I-130, I-485, I-864, I-944, I-765, I-131. And what you can do is on Facebook and YouTube, you can always rewind and listen to it 100 times until you get all the forms right. Okay?
Perfect.
All
So I already wait for 3 months, so
Yes,
I'm good.
you're
And one more thing, Brad, should I need to write one check or each separate check for each?
Separate checks because it's each separate applications. You can write one check for each of them. So in other words, you can write the filing fee for the adjustment and the I-130 for each parent, excuse me, is $1,760. So you can write one check for $1,760 for dad and a separate check for $1,760 for mom, and you address it to the Department of Homeland Security. You write the check out to Department of Homeland Security.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Brad. I really appreciate your help.
Good luck.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's go to Ali in Tampa. Ali.
Hi, how are you, sir?
Hi, how are you?
Good. I have a question. My wife became very controlling after marriage and criticizing my religion. She doesn't let me pray in the house. She even doesn't like me, like the clothes that I wear, stuff like that. She became like very controlling. And she even we had an argument one time. She threatened to call the immigration on me. So I was wondering, based on that, can I apply for VAWA?
Sounds like there's a potential to file for VAWA. I would need to know a lot more. but certainly somebody trying to control another person is a form of abuse. Is it extreme abuse? We would need to get into the details of that, but certainly it sounds like it. So hold on one second, okay?
Okay.
Let's go to Gabby in Denver. Gabby.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Brad. Good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
I have a question. I filed my EAD renewal card, but I made a mistake. Instead of C09, I put C31. What should I do?
Do you have your VAWA approved?
Not yet. It's on the process.
Unfortunately, it's going to be denied. Hopefully you get an RFE, but they may deny you and you'll have to file again, unfortunately. You have to do
should
C9.
I file it again or?
Yeah, try to file. Yeah, you can file it again under C9. You don't have to pay a filing fee. So just do it again now, because you can have 2 different work permit applications on 2 different categories. So actually, that's a good
Okay,
idea.
but I already sent a check, so.
That's okay. Just do it under C9. You can send a check if you want. They'll return a check to you if it makes you feel more comfortable. But you can certainly file a work permit renewal under C9, because it's a different category. It's a good idea.
Should I write the letter so I made a mistake?
No.
This is the.
No? Just do it. No one's going to read your letter
thank
anyway.
you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, bye.
Okay. That's it for today. You don't call, I can't answer. But in today's Spar and Bernstein Attorney Close-Up, immigration attorney Shannon Laguerre talks about some common misconceptions people have about immigration law. Let's watch.
I would say the biggest misconception that people have about immigration law is that these are forms that can be filled out by anyone. And a lot of times people don't realize that what you put on those forms usually can be used against you later on, not only just at the interview, but also if you end up in immigration court. So I tell a lot of people, make sure that you go to an experienced attorney that can assist you. Even though you may feel like, I know the questions, I know what's going on and I can fill it out, there's certain terminology that needs to be put on those forms that a notario, yourself, or just someone who basically have done just forms may not be able to understand. So it's really important to go to an attorney, because I think the biggest misconception is that you can go to anyone to actually assist you with those forms. Tax preparers will sometimes file those forms. Interestingly enough, you now have the Attorney General's office who's reaching out and basically prosecuting a lot of these notarios, paralegals, these tax preparers, because they understand that immigrants are being preyed upon and basically are being placed in immigration court due to the fact that they are fraudulent applications being submitted on their behalf, and that's why it's really important basically to reach out to an experienced attorney.
Successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome in the future. And by the way, if you didn't get your immigration questions asked on the call-in portion, you could always drop me a DM on my Instagram at @RealBradBernstein. You can also follow us at Bradshaw Live for the best 1 or 2 minutes of our show if you can't handle 2 hours of us. Yo and Vanessa.
Yes, you guys can follow me at Yonathan Elias TV on all social media platforms.
And you guys can find me at Vanessa.Contreras TV.
All right, let's do something we like to call social media check-in.
All right, our first one comes from DZ Info on YouTube asking, I had an admin closed removal case and I left the U.S. Now I will have my IR1 interview. I'm no longer allowed for a visa because of this. What can I do?
Say it again? I misunderstood the question.
You said what?
I misunderstood the question. Can you say it one more time?
Oh, okay, I had an admin closed removal case.
This is the guy who called. This is the guy who he called us on the phone. We spoke to him already.
Okay,
he needs a 212 waiver.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Okay, so the next one comes from Joanne Ambitious Powell on Facebook. Can my husband do an adjustment of status for my son who is over 21 and is on an F1 visa?
No, because you have to file an I-130. He has to be put on the waiting list for about 5 years for a green card.
Okay, Marge Higgs says, my friend's VAWA has been approved over 2 years ago. Her husband is a green card holder. She has a pending adjustment. Should she be worried? Is this too long?
It is too long. I don't know about worried. Eventually she'll get her green card, but it's way too long and she should contact the lawyer.
The next one comes from Kanisha J on Facebook. After filing for Form DS-260, what's next?
Your case gets transferred to a U.S. embassy and you get called for an interview.
Okay, Ira Lama on YouTube asked, my husband has an interview at the consular office on November 18th. Do we need the DS-5540 filled out for an interview?
Yes.
Stacy Ann Taylor on Facebook. How soon can I file for my kids after getting my green card?
The next day.
Sharon Pink on Facebook asked, I filed for my daughter. Her I-130 petition was approved. Now they're saying no visa is available. She's in Jamaica. What's the next move?
I don't know. Well, if your daughter is over 21, the next move is wait till January when the proclamation is over. If your daughter's under 21 and you're a U.S. citizen, she should be eligible for her green card, whether or not proclamation or no proclamation, and then contact the embassy or call us.
Tia Pursued on Facebook. How long does the removal of the I-131 and I-765 combo card take? Less than 180 days or 180 the day mark? Or at the 180 day mark?
This is what, as on an adjustment case?
A renewal of an I-131 and I-765 combo.
They're asking when they should file or how long it takes? I'm confused.
How long it could take?
Could take anywhere from 3 months to 6 months.
Kay Mullings on Facebook asked, I did the citizenship test November 2019 and passed it and still haven't been sworn in yet. I got 2 dates, but they were canceled. Since then, I haven't gotten any date. Why is this so, Brad?
Coronavirus.
Michaela Reed on Facebook. My mother filed for my brother who is here, and he was told that he had to go back to Jamaica for 6 months and then returns. Is there anything else he can do?
Say it again. Why do you have to go back to Jamaica?
The mother filed for her brother who is here, and he was told he has to go back to Jamaica for 6 months and then return. Is there anything that he can do?
I don't understand the question other than perhaps the brother was here on a visitor's visa, stayed here for 6 months, and you can't live here on a visitor's visa. So maybe that's why you had to go home for 6 months.
Yeah, they didn't mention that. That sounds like what it could be.
Yeah,
they're not mentioning any documents, not giving you enough information.
You can't live here on a visitor's visa is my answer. That's why. What can you do? Have a consultation. Figure out another visa to come here on.
Okay, Emmanuel Akins on Facebook asks, I have a removal processing, but they haven't given me a date for my master hearing. Meanwhile, they have approved my I-130. What should I do?
You have an I-130 approved and you have no master calendar, then you need to make a motion to recalendar your... It's not going to happen by magic. So obviously you went in a removal hearing. The judge marked your case off the calendar, said come back when you get the I-130 approved. The judge isn't going to check to see when your I-130 is approved. You got to make a motion to recalendar and say, I got my I-130 approved. Can you recalendar this so I can go before you and file an adjustment application?
Okay. The next one comes from Queen B on Facebook. My cousin was entering through O'Hara Airport after visiting South Africa. He got detained by the CBP, and they said that he will be sent back to Africa on the next plane. He got no explanation. He is on a green card and is married to a U.S. citizen. What steps should he take?
I think I spoke to this woman on the phone earlier today, and not on our show, but literally spoke to this woman. And I said, I don't know why they stopped your brother. He has a 2-year green card. I don't know. You would need to hire us and we'd call Immigration and Department of Homeland Security in the airport and figure out what's going on. I don't know the answer.
Okay, Raquel Jackson Okay, Raquel Jackson on Facebook asks, my mom filed for my sister and she passed away in 2001, but the case approved in 2004. I tried to take it over and did all the paperwork and paid the visa fee. Then I got a letter saying my mom passed away before the case was approved, so they closed the case. I tried to get my money back, but didn't succeed. Is this right?
Well, yeah, it's right, but you can request a humanitarian reinstatement as long as you can show humanitarian reasons why you want to step into the shoes for your mother. So it's correct, everything that happened. The mistake is you didn't go to the next step, which is request the humanitarian reinstatement, and then you step into your deceased mom's shoes to get your sister here.
Okay, Eritrea on Facebook. I have my brother in detention. He crossed illegally to the U.S. from Mexico. He asked to bond out and judge granted him bond. Does he post a bond after the final court date depending on the judge's decision? Let's say if the judge denies his asylum or any other relief.
Did the judge give him bonds already? What happened?
It says he asked to bond out and the judge granted him bond.
So you go to immigration right now. The judge says $5,000 bond. You go to $10,000, $2,000, whatever it is. The minimum is $1,500. You go to immigration. You pay the bond. He's out in an hour. That's what you do.
Okay, Faye Lanas on Facebook asks, USCIS says we were scheduled an interview for Form I-485 and that they'll mail us an interview notice. When do you think we will get this notice?
I don't know. I don't have the slightest idea when you would get this notice. 2 more questions.
Evan Michelle on Facebook. Can I use the expired I-485 on the USCIS website?
Yes, if it's the most recent one, yes.
Okay, Sandro T on YouTube. Last question for right now. I'm a U.S. citizen and applying for my parents for their green card. I'm sending the forms I-130, 485, which is the adjustment of status, 765, which is permission to work, 864, affidavit of support. Now, my parents never applied for any benefits from the government and don't have any ties with it. Never filed a tax return because they don't work. Do I still need to send the I-944 even though I'm sending the form above the 864?
Yes.
And how important is it for my mom and dad to have a job or not if I'm being their sponsor?
Well, it's very important unless you're making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, because they have to show that they can self-support themselves, and there's no chance that they're going to go on any sort of government assistance. And since you're filing for mom and dad, they're probably up there in age, so the government's already going to presuppose that they're going to have a lot of medical issues. So it's always good that they have medical insurance and a job if they're still of working age, unless you're making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
All right.
With that, I want to introduce Moshe, Borukh, and David Levy. They're our personal injury attorneys, partners here at Spar and Bernstein. We recently had a success story that they settled a case for a pedestrian that got knocked down in Queens for $3.4 million. You heard it right. $3.4 million. $3,400,000. Now, Yonathan spoke with Spar and Bernstein, partners and personal injury attorneys, Moshe and David, about this recent multi-million-dollar settlement. The facts of this case are very disturbing. A child lost his life. So I want to warn viewers who may feel triggered before we begin. So let's watch.
Sometimes the unimaginable happens and lives are forever altered. If such a situation occurs, you want to make sure that you're compensated up to the full extent of what the law allows. With me today to discuss a recent multi-million-dollar settlement they secured for a client who lost her young child in a pedestrian accident are Spar and Bernstein partners and personal injury attorneys, Moshe, Borukh, and David Levy. Hey guys, what's up? How you guys doing?
Nice to be here, Yonathan. It's nice to see you.
It's great to see you too. So let's just talk about what exactly happened.
Sure. She was walking with her child at an intersection in Queens. She had the green light. She had the pedestrian crosswalk lines allowing her to cross the street. As she was approaching the intersection, she looked both ways, made sure there were no vehicles approaching her. She crossed the street. As she entered the middle of the intersection, a commercial vehicle struck the stroller that she was carrying with her child in it. After the accident, it was determined that the child had very serious damage to the brain. And without getting into, much more detail about what the actual injuries look like, as you can imagine, they were pretty severe. Luckily, the police were right next to, there were unmarked vehicles around the neighborhood who actually saw an accident happen. They got out of the car, they ran over to perform CPR to determine the extent of the injuries of the child. They rushed the child to the emergency room, and only at the hospital, where they tried to revive the child, did they determine that they couldn't revive the child and pronounced the child dead.
Oh, man. That's horrible. Did the driver stop after the accident?
So the driver did stop. I think he could have not stopped because he was literally, the vehicle was touching the stroller and the child. So I don't think it would have been feasible for him to leave the scene. The police came over to him to determine whether he was under the influence of alcohol. At the scene, they performed a sobriety test. Luckily for him, it was negative. However, when they brought him in and they processed him for failing to yield to a pedestrian causing physical injury, they performed what's called a Draeger test. And a Draeger test also determines whether you have any alcohol or drugs in your system. Mm-hmm. They then determined that he tested positive for cocaine and marijuana. So that was a big issue in this case in favor of our client.
Right. And I believe you said that the mother was crossing the street with the light in her favor, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
it's the hand signal that flashes, whether it's white or whether right. So she had that clear. It was undisputed, because if she had the green light, that would mean that the person who's making the left-hand turn also has the green light. However, the law says, and it's specifically Vehicle and Traffic Law 1146, it states you must yield to a pedestrian. And failure to yield to a pedestrian is a violation.
Were there any criminal charges filed against the driver?
So unfortunately, because the driver passed all of the field sobriety tests, and these are the, walk in a straight line, touch your nose, all those standard subjective testing, the driver was deemed to pass those tests. The only test that he failed was, as Moshe mentioned, the Draeger test, which shows traces of marijuana and traces of cocaine. He could have had marijuana and cocaine in his system 2 days ago, the night before, the morning of. They determined that while the traces were positive, the police determined that he wasn't actively under the influence while driving. I don't agree with that. Moshe didn't agree with that. But that's a criminal aspect. That's a decision that prosecution made not to pursue criminal charges against him. And that's out of our control. It was a state judgment. And as a result, the state determined that it wasn't a case that they could prove beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a higher criminal standard, that they'd be successful against the driver. And as a result, the driver wasn't prosecuted, which on our end, on the civil end, put a lot more pressure and a lot more motivation for us to ensure that even though criminally he wasn't going to be held liable, we were going to do everything in our power to make sure civilly he was going to be under the full force and effect of the civil laws of New York.
Yeah, here's the good news, though. Although he wasn't criminally convicted of any crimes and all charges were dropped against him, he was found to be in violation of the Vehicle and Traffic Law 1146, which says you must yield to a pedestrian. So what we did, because we're such great lawyers, and I don't say that in a joking manner, what we did was we took that violation in an administrative court pursuant to the DMV type hearings. We took that decision from an administrative law judge. We brought it into our civil action in Supreme Court. It's called summary judgment on the issue of liability. We convinced the judge that this administrative hearing basically sought out all questions of issues of whether this person violated the law in not failing to yield to a pedestrian, and whether this violation was a proximate cause of the accident. And the judge agreed with us. And what that meant was, if this were to go to trial, we don't have to prove that he was negligent as a matter of law.
Gotcha.
Right, that issue was already determined by the judge. So all we had to determine after we did what we did was what amount of damages, if any, the mother and unfortunately the deceased child were entitled to.
Well, who do you actually sue in this case, or a case like this?
So he was an employee and he was working for a company. And under the law, when you're working for somebody, there's a concept known as vicarious liability. All right, there's a lot of other fancy names for it. But basically, as an employee, you are an agent for your employer. And as a result, your employer is responsible for all of the actions committed by your employees during and in further of the scope of their employment. So since he was behind the wheel on work during his work duties, during regular working hours. When the accident happened, we were able to sue him individually, and we were able to sue his company that he was a representative of.
Oh, okay. So what were the injuries that you did sue for?
Let me just clarify. There were two separate cases, all right? We have the infant decedent who passed away shortly after the accident. That was being represented, again, by the mother. Having an estate set up, you have to set up the estate vis-a-vis surrogates court. You have to set up an administrator or administratrix to act on behalf of the decedent. We did that for the decedent infant. Now, we also have, and this is where it gets tricky, you have the emotional distress claim from the mother. However, in most cases, let's say the mother wasn't there and it was just a babysitter and this happened, the mother would not have any cause of action in any court. Why? Because the law doesn't allow you to. The reason why she was fortunate enough to have access to a cause of action in this case is because she was there. It's something called the zone of danger. If you're a very close relative of the person who was injured, if you're within the zone of danger, and the case law, goes into that and what that means, if you are in the zone of danger, you can recover for emotional distress as a result of a catastrophic and tragic accident such as this. So we had the infant decedent's case and the mother's emotional distress claim all in one action.
One thing to that, the emotional distress claim was very important because the infant was 21 months old at the time of the accident, and the impact occurred to the skull of the child. And the defense attorneys, although obviously this is not something we condone, their argument was, using New York law, which we do not agree with, but that is the law, an individual who sustains life-altering traumatic injuries, there's a question of how much pain and suffering an individual experiences if they are determined to die after a very short period of time after the traumatic event. So in our case, all testimony showed that the child who suffered the skull fracture sustained pain and suffering anywhere from 0 seconds to up to 45 minutes when she was pronounced deceased at the hospital. Was it 5 minutes? Was it 30 minutes? Was it 45 minutes? We'll never know. But the defense attorneys had a case to make that there was potentially no pain and suffering. And unfortunately, the laws of New York would give them the opportunity to limit the amount of damages that our client can recover because there's no pain and suffering. There's just wrongful death in that case. And that's very, very unfortunate for plaintiffs, which is why you need, competent attorneys who were able to bring all these other claims that we brought, such as the zone of danger that Moshe was talking about, which is basically a claim for emotional distress or the trauma of witnessing a child pass away in front of your eyes.
Now, this is where experts come in, right? How do you determine whether there was pain and suffering of the child? That's obviously something that's going to be litigated, because if there's more pain and suffering, then your damages, your pain and suffering award, obviously, logic dictates, should be greater, higher. So what did we do? We hired an expert, namely a pathologist, to determine, you look at the autopsy, you look at the photos, you look at the police report, you look at the file, the NYPD file, you look at the deposition transcripts. They look at these things and they will come to a conclusion based on medical evidence, based on everything in the record, and they will come to a conclusion as to whether or not there was pain and suffering. Our pathologist determined that there was pain and suffering. Why? We had our client testify that there was signs of life after the impact. And so that's what we did, because we can't determine. We're not doctors, we're lawyers. So it's our job to get competent medical evidence vis-a-vis experts, and in this case, a pathologist, to determine whether there was pain and suffering.
Was this case actually going to go to trial?
So we were preparing for trial. I mean, this is a type of case where you don't walk away unless you know that you're making the client whole. And again, in this particular case, no amount of money will ever make a client whole. So it's not something that we can present to our client and say, look, this number will make you whole. I mean, you can't do that. However, you have to keep in mind that no matter what you do, if you go to trial and you get $100 million verdict, there are courts out there, specifically the appellate division, the Court of Appeals, that will take that verdict and they'll knock it right back down to what we call the sustainable value of a case. So the courts the courts are out there putting values, maximum values and minimum values of cases. And we know what those values are, the perimeters. So it's our job to make sure the client understands that although she suffered a loss that will never be recovered again, that she has to be within the reasonable perimeters of settlement value.
In this firm, we do a lot of trial research. We focus group what the loss of a child is worth in front of a jury. We were very confident that we were going to get in the $50, $60, $70 million range That's how confident we're, number one, in our skills, number two, in the type of case that this was.
Yeah.
However, as Moshe said, what's the goal here? Is the goal here to get a verdict that we can show we got 60 million when they end up appealing it for the next 3 to 4 years, and the client walks away with whatever the appellate judge determines? Or do we want to reach a number at a pre-trial that is obviously in the millions of dollars that the client will accept and that will be sustained by the judge? The client chose to go the latter route. The client chose to accept a settlement before trial.
See, that thank you for that, because I actually never knew that.
A lot of people don't know this. The first thing you see in these personal injury commercials is 60 million verdict, 20 million verdict. But what a lot of people don't understand is that verdict is just a verdict. It just means that the jury has presented a number in relation to what evidence they've seen in a courtroom. But then it gets much more complicated. The judges get involved, appellate judges get involved. So things get very, very tricky once you get those types of verdicts. That's why you have to make sure that if you're offered something that within the bounds of what's sustainable, you have a duty, I believe, to your client to let them know that this is where you stop.
So I'm sure a lot of people would want to know, how much did the case settle for?
So we got $3 million for the mother for her emotional distress, and the estate of the infant received $400,000. Now, let me quickly decipher why those numbers are like that. In New York, and again, Levy and I don't agree with this law, but in New York, they don't value a death in and of itself as valuable. Okay, I think it's aberrant. I think it's disgusting, but I'm not a legislator, so I have no control over that. Right. So what that means is if you get injured and you have no economic value, you have no wages to show that your life is worth something, you don't recover anything unless you have pain and suffering, which is why the defense attorney was adamant about telling the judge there was no pain and suffering, and therefore the value of the estate is zero. Okay. Wow. That's the issue. So the mother, however, I mean, you can imagine what the pain and suffering is like. That's something she's going to have to endure for the rest of her life. What's the value of that? That's something that would have been presented to a jury. But in this particular case, what we did also, notwithstanding the expert of the pathologist, we hired an economist. Why did we hire an economist? Well, we wanted to show the judge that this infant would have went to college. Yes. If this infant would have went to college, the economist has a special formula he uses to show you what the value of a college student's BA degree, for example, is. And he determined, the expert, that over the lifetime, this infant would have made approximately $7 million and change. So what we argued was, look, judge, no, this is not somebody who doesn't have a value. This infant would have went to school because the mother testified that she would have made sure that they went to school, and they would have had a value of $7 million plus. So that's what we did in relation to the economic value. And we call that the pecuniary value. There's a difference. Pecuniary means economic value, monetary value. Non-pecuniary means just like, emotional distress. And that's how you decipher the two cases.
And the emotional distress claim, we ended up settling for the $3 million, for a total global settlement of $3.4 million. And just one more point I'd like to add here. We see these types of cases every day. Some are a little bit cleaner, some are very messy, some are very, very difficult to even talk about. This is one of those cases. We can't even, begin to try to comprehend, and I don't wish this upon anyone, of what this mother was going through for experiencing and witnessing such a tragedy. All we can do is ensure that our clients are given full reimbursement to every penny they are owed under the law. And I believe that's what we accomplished. But just one more thing. From the moment we received this case until the moment we settled it, it was a period of 15 to 18 months. That's a year and a half of litigation for us to go from zero to $3.4 million. And me and Moshe are very, very proud of that, because you hear about cases dragging on for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years or more. And here at Spar and Bernstein, we don't play games. When your case is here, we're going to do everything in our power to get that case from A to Z as quickly as possible and ensure that people are compensated for their injuries and for their losses as quickly as possible.
Man, that's amazing. First of all, I want to thank you guys for joining us. It was a very, very tough case to talk about. And it's also good to know that someone had experienced something traumatic and life-altering like this. You and the team at Spar and Bernstein are here to ensure that they get the highest compensation they're entitled to under the law, just like you said. So I really appreciate you guys for joining me. All right.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, to get in touch with Moshe, David, or any of the other talented attorneys here at Spar and Bernstein, make sure you call 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-529-5465.
All right, and obviously prior successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome. And obviously it was also a very difficult case. Sadly, sometimes life-altering traumatic events do occur. And if and when it does happen, it's very good to have very good attorneys. You saw two very good attorneys there, Moshe and David. And by the way, guys, very good job, Yonathan, with the interview. And by the way, I have the results of our squad poll of the day. Do you think Donald Trump stands a chance? And the squad voted 81% no, 5% yes, and 14% 50-50. So most of the squad, 4 out of the 5 of the squad says not a chance in hell. We're gonna have the pumpkin for maybe another 6 weeks, and that's it.
Brad, did you hear that he said that he would, if Trumpkin does not win this one, he'll try and run again in 2024?
Oh my God, please no. Please no. All right, with that, let's put 50 seconds on the clock. Nine questions, speed round.
I have a good feeling.
All right.
I have a good feeling.
All right. Ready?
How do you feel? Brad, you feel good?
I feel very, very good. How do you feel, Vanessa?
This looks good, so it makes me feel good.
Okay, good. All right. Let's go.
Can you travel with an I-130 approval notice?
No.
Is an NIE a notion needed on a visa?
I don't know what that means. Next.
Can I work while waiting for a green card?
Legally, sure.
When do you age out of an F3 immigration visa?
21, but there is the Child Status Protection Act, so there's exceptions.
Can I re-enter the U.S. without a physical AP combo card?
No.
Can I apply for an opt from outside the U.S.?
You apply for what?
Opt.
OPT.
Optional practical training. No.
Can citizenship sibling to sibling take less than 4 years?
No.
Can someone from Puerto Rico get TPS?
No, you're a citizen.
Are certain countries favored countries?
We don't feel so good.
Right, that one.
What was the last question?
One.
What was the last question?
Are certain countries favored when immigrating to the U.S.?
No, but there's certain countries that are not favored, such as Philippines, Mexico, India, China, because they have large immigration to the United States of America. All right.
Is it national something? What was this NIE, a notion? Annotation.
Annotation.
NIE, annotation. I read it wrong.
Annotation. And what was the annotation on the visa?
Needed on a visa. I don't know what that meant. Just kidding.
Non-immigrant visa annotation needed on a visa. If you have a non-immigrant visa, yes. If it's a immigrant visa, no. I guess that's what they were asking.
Oh, maybe it was that non-immigrant. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Comments of the day. Comments of the day.
All right. Our first comment of the day comes from Danielle Faircloth saying, "Hey Brad, happy to see you. You're always here and willing and ready to help everyone. Love you, Brad."
Oh, very nice. Thank you. That's very sweet.
We love you, Brad.
How did we not catch this sooner? Jeremy Goldberg on Poetry Thursday. Though we're nervous about the election, Brad will still find your direction. From 1 to 10, he's pure perfection. Hey, I like that one.
I like it.
Okay.
Me too.
All right, our third comment of the day. It's another one from Danielle Faircloth saying, "This election is like being in labor for days. Brutal."
It is. It is.
Right.
That is for sure.
Yes.
The next one comes from R.R. Jones, and they say, Uncle Brad, you are the clam in my chowder.
And I love clam chowder.
I like clam chowder too. I like the creamy clam chowder too.
Me too.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I'm big into the creamy clam chowder. All right, any more? Any else? Any last
We have
one?
one more.
Yeah.
Last one.
All right, that's one from You Lean King saying, hey, Brad, Yo-Yo, Vanessa, squat up. Brad, you're a god of immigration. Thanks for always putting immigrants first. You're truly an awesome lawyer. Thank you.
Oh, very nice. Thank you very much. All right. I appreciate that all. Thank you, Yonathan. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, crew. We'll see you all tomorrow. Hopefully we have some answers from Pennsylvania. Praying.
Oh,
see you tomorrow.
please.
So, Sam, as part of the production, we have to say this disclaimer at the end of the show. Do you mind reading it for me?
Okay, but you know, Brad, I have to do everything around here. It's bad enough I've got to remember everything that happened on the episode from the previous day.
Forget it. I'll do it. The proceeding was information only and not specific legal advice. Consult an attorney about your individual situation. Prior successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome in the future. To make an appointment with the Spar and Bernstein law firm located at 225 Broadway in New York City, call 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-529-5465. Easy to remember, 1-800-LAW-LINK. That's 1-800-LAWLINK. Once again, make a call to 1-800-529-5465. And of course, link up with the law offices of Spar and Bernstein, located at 225 Broadway on the 5th floor. If I were you out there, make the call, make the link, make the connection, make it Spar and Bernstein. 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-529-5465. And now, conveniently located in Hartford, Connecticut on 1 Congress Street. Visit us in Connecticut or in New York at 225 Broadway. That's 1-800-529-5465. 1-800-LAW-LINK. 1-800-529-5465. What are you doing?